Yes, I believe all of us are doing good. Thank you so much for joining us once again onto the Backyard Podcast. And we want to assure you that we're still here and we're still going as usual with Laban, the usual suspect. We want to encourage you to always hit that subscription button. Remember to like, share, and definitely don't leave without pressing that notification button, because every time you subscribe or every time you share, you give us more energy and you give us more courage to continue doing what we do, because it's a sign that it's doing wonders into your life. Laban, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm blessed.
I can see.
I'm a blessed man.
How's been your week, bro?
My week was good. Thank God. Yeah, everything is well.
Wow, amazing. I'm very, very expectant to hear how best your week was after the podcast.
Of course. See me on camera.
All right. So today, guys, onto our podcast, we are blessed. It's people used to say that if you want to hide something from an African, put it into a book.
Very true.
And we want to believe that today, as of this podcast, something is going to change about us, our culture of reading, because the person we have today is a tool of inspiration. But again, he has his channel of inspiring the world through writing. He's an author, and he has written quite a number of books. And we're going to have his amazing journey today. We're going to go deeper into understanding, where does he get this energy from? Where does he get the inspiration from? Was it his last resort in life? And then he say, okay, let me just... All right, ladies and gentlemen, with us today, please join us and welcome Mr. Lukas Pious Lukanga. Did I say it right?
That's very true.
You're very much welcome, sir.
Thank you.
We are humbled to have you.
I'm more humbled to be here. And to join and share in what you guys are doing, because it's such a great thing. Such a great thing, and I can only give thanks.
Wow, amazing. Yes, Laban. I see Laban is already full of smiles.
This is one of the things that it's in my heart. When we talk about reading and we talk somebody who is inspiring the generation in reading. It's one of the best, something that touches my heart. And I can say, Mr. Pious, we are so humbled to have you here. And maybe to kickstart, we want to understand, who is Mr. Lukas and where are you from? Where are you born? Are you Ugandan? Yes.
Interesting. The first people that bought my book, Assistance Pays Off, most of them thought I was from South Africa. And I remember this doctor friend of mine texting me, and he's like, wow, I shared your story with somebody, and I think you're South African. Are you Ugandan? I'm like, yeah, I'm typically Ugandan, and I love Uganda. So... Lukas Pious Lukanga was born and raised in Uganda. And I had school in Uganda. And I was born in some place in Buziga. It's a suburb of Kampala within Makindye. So I was born and raised within that area.
Yeah, we take Buziga to be an epitome of some wealth people. so sometimes when somebody says suburb, I feel like it's underrated, the word suburb. I feel like yes. I think they were right to say you're South African, because people come from Buziga. I mean, I think they have a different kind of environment they live in. They have a different kind of oxygen that they take in. So
so they weren't wrong.
Yes, please.
Well, so I come from a family of 5. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Wow.
And I'm the middle child. Wow. Funny enough. Though most people think I'm the firstborn, because I took on my parents took on my name. I gave them the name of what they would be called for a parent.
Yeah.
So most people had the anticipation, oh, he's the first child, because they never had much exposure to my other siblings. So me growing up, I was a little not cool. Yeah, I was a little not cool. I was stubborn, I should say. I was stubborn, and I used to give my parents a hard time.
Yeah, you were those kids that saying, if you see Lukas here, just know. There's trouble.
And yet, in the public eye, I was just a nice kid.
Yeah.
You know, because I remember through school, everybody liked me for my upbringing. Our parents raised us in a way that we were. We would be the best of what life can really appreciate.
Yeah.
But at home, we were a mess. That I remember sometime my mom would feel like, you know what, go to the streets.
She will feel like telling you, man, get out of my house.
Yeah. I remember, actually, this is true of me.
Yeah.
At about the age of, I think I was about 9, 8. I remember one day I rode my bike, and here I go, just like any other kid.
Yeah.
They bought me a new bike. And then I go all over Kansanga, and I lost my way. So I would just, they would give us some Kalito money to go with at school.
Yeah.
So I kept it for the weekend, that I would ride my bicycle around to show some people, hey, you know what, guys?
Yeah, I have some. Yeah.
That is really what happened. So I rode the bike, and I lost my way. And I remember returning home late. And when I returned home late, my mom caned me. It was to such a point that I felt like, is this really my mom? You know?
Yeah.
I just felt like, she might not be my mom. And I told her, you know what? I'm better off without you. Let me go to the streets. And she's like, you go, you know, jokingly. But being naughty, like I told you, I wasn't that kid. To the public, it was really, the jelly on the cream. But then with my family, it was a different story. And I said, okay, I got a few of my clothes and then took off. I took off for a certain distance, and then my dad finds me crying all the way, saying, I am going to the streets, you know. And then this guy says, Olaga wango kava. So just imagine. My dad is typically a hard man. Yeah, he's such a parent that raised his children with an iron hand for the product he would really wish to bring onto the nation, the kind of children he would want to associate the public from his family. So he asked me such a hard question. Where are you going when you be wailing, crying? And I'm like, my mom caned me, you know. This is me telling him, my mom caned me, and I just chose to go to the streets. He's like, okay, come, let's go back. Thinking he's going to be my rescue. Sometimes, you know, I sit back for the man I have become to different people in life now. And I'm like, maybe sometimes it was all worth it. Because I remember him taking me back at home, and the punishment that I had been given before doubled.
So the punishment of going to the streets, now they are giving you the punishment of death.
I think so. I think so now. But this time round, I didn't opt for going back to the streets. I remember me going back into my bedroom and just stayed put. Yeah, I stayed put. And ever since then, I never looked at myself going to the streets.
Wow.
But though, at some point, I was exposed to a position of being almost homeless, which is near you living on the streets.
Yeah, but before we come there, I want to understand, because you being that stubborn at home at that age, how was your school life? Like, how were you at school? Were you one of these kinds of kids who are being expelled from one school to the other?
Through primary, I never see all. I was the best of the students. That even my teachers loved me, because I used to be, actually even to now, if you meet my primary friends, they know me by the top. They don't know me by anything else. I remember somebody who met me, we were then in high school, and he's like, "Hey, are you always the best like you used to be before?" Because I remember I would only make a decision to say, this time, maybe. That was, I think, in primary 3. I had this friend, and I just told him, I'm not going to be the best. Can you imagine? That is the extent of naughtiness.
Wow.
That was me. But I used to be loved by my teachers. I loved co-curricular activities. I loved to dance, even when I didn't know how to dance. Yeah. And I think with me being engaged in school was basically because my mom loved me to be part of the environment of school. So through primary, I was a good kid. Then I go to high school. High school, is where basically you want to have an identity. You want to fit in. You really want to find a sense of belonging. So I go into high school. Form 1, I was so tiny. I remember during my year is when it was the beginning of that era of students that were so tiny. And then somebody asked me, "Are you a student or are you are you a student or are you one of the staffs? Is your parent? Why are you dressed in a uniform?" So
because you look so...
I look so tiny, and I got a little feeling bad. I was like, wow, how am I really going to be in this thing? So I got a little bullied, but I endured.
Did you ever pay back?
Yeah.
Did you also ever bully others? Well, now you've
actually in high school, friends know me by the bully side. It's they know me by, because I would not let you have it your way. Like, you bring the game on, I show you I'm really better at it. Because I remember this guy we met recently, and he was new. Then I told him, you cannot sit anywhere in this class. Only where I let you sit.
That's where you will sit.
So he told the girlfriend, recently when we met at one of our friends, Chala, Manjula, he's like, that guy, made life hard for me in school. And I'm like, wow, do people have to really remember you by the bad things you really made?
Yeah.
But then it spoke to me of how far I have come.
Wow. And you looked back and you're like, wow, yes, Laban.
Wow. You know, it's hard to believe when Lukas is talking. I was trying to visualize this bully, this hard-headed kid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's hard to believe.
Yeah.
And I was now in school, especially in school, you were so much involved in the co-curricular activities. Which are some of the things that you were? Is it like you were so much involved in, like drama, whatever?
Okay. I loved drama, but I never loved. When I transitioned to high school, I think this really this went out of me because I wanted to be cool. So I felt like those guys that do those MDD stuff, they're not cool. Though I used to love the rapping, the music bit of it, so I would just be involved in that. About entertainment.
Yeah.
But then I remember the activities I was very much engaged in was sports. I tried to play football, but it never worked out because everybody would they would give other everybody else the number, but not me. So I said, "Oh, why do I really?" Just like I said, high school was basically me trying to find my identity, to belong to a certain people and group. So it really affected. It really took quite so much hard working within me, and I remember identifying myself with basketball. You can you can imagine me being a basketball player. So I identified myself with basketball, and I just did it. You know, within me, I've realized this over time. Whenever I tend to give myself to anything, I do it all. I do it with my heart, with my spirit, and with my commitment and mind to it. That I say, you know what, I am really going to walk this to the end. So I did part of basketball, but never serious, just for the fun, because most of the people I associated with were basketballers, and they felt cool, you know, back in our days. I don't know right now. When you would play basketball, rugby,
You're a cool kid.
you're a cool kid. Everybody loves you. You know? So I a little did focus so much now on the books side, on the academics. I felt like I need also to be cool, you know, be a basketball player, work with the basketball players. But I never been translated even in anything that was going towards regionals or anything serious with basketball. But even right now, when you give me the ball, just wait for a 3-pointer.
Yes, Lukas,
Yeah.
it's so amazing. I'm yearning to ask this question, and I think it's better we roll into the main reason why we are here. I mean, when do you now, the journey of writing, where does it start from, and what fuels it?
Wow. Me and writing. I think weeks back, I met this person that really intrigued the same question that you have asked. She's a blogger, and she was like, "Tell me about you and writing." I'm like, I think as far as I remember, I have been writing. Funny enough, I wrote, but where I realized that maybe I have the gift to write was about Form 2. Form 2, when I got my notebook, and this is how I come to write. It's going to be funny.
Yeah.
This is how I get to write. So I was interested in this girl. Like I told you, high school is basically you want to identify.
Yeah.
You want to have an identity, and I felt like part of the being cool in school was finding a girlfriend. So I got interested in this girl, and but I didn't know how to express myself to her. So I got the notebook, and I wrote how I felt, and I wrote everything. The emotions. I could go through the emotions, so I could write in that small diary about the day's sessions, how today I felt. And then one time I wanted to express it to let me say to the person that got close to me. I learned to write poems. I just realized that I can write a poem
Through love emotions that you used to have.
Yeah. So I wrote to her this beautiful piece. I wanted it to go to the other party. Okay, these two girls were friends.
Yeah.
So even though I was close with this one, but I wanted her to share what I had written to the other, so that she would come and say, can you write the same for me? Yeah, that was how it was. And that is when I began to realize that I can write. So I wrote the poems, and I began to write a few really cool music. And I'm like, wow, because that was the trend back then.
Yeah.
Uganda was adopting to hip hop.
Yep.
So everybody that would rhyme from the beat, man, you look cool, you are the cool guy.
Yeah.
Yes, so that is me writing. And me coming to the professional side of it is still when I got to the downtrodden of life. It so happened that in the year 2017, my life began to take a different course of journey, based on the decisions I had made before in my life. It's a bit, sometimes I never really know if I could get back to those parts of my life. But anyways, 2017, something happened that triggered again what had been the journey in 2015. 2015, I lost what I thought was a life. Anyways, I had a good taste of life. I was being now a young adult. I had experienced certain freedom. I had got my first job. You at campus, and then you get your first job. Man, it feels cool. Because the money is coming in. And I was always this guy who really loved to put up ideas. So I felt like I should do this business with this money and keep it, just to keep the life that I really wanted. And all this comes from a position of where I asked somebody money, and they told me, go look for a job. So when I took the journey of looking for a job, but without guidance of how to maintain my finances, now with the opportunity that I had the money in 2015, again, after 2 years of just this experiencing this freedom, my life turned south. That I was so into girls. I was so into club. I just felt like ecstasy was the life for me. I wanted to feel a certain hole in my life. I wanted to just mask up how I felt in life at the moment, that I didn't know that all this would really create some different person for me in that season of my life.
Yeah.
So one day, I felt like I needed to really do better for life. And guess what? The turning point that was in 2015 is surprisingly, most of my turning points have been women.
Yeah.
So even though I had met different girls and different women before, but in 2015 this girl changed my life. She was Christian, and I was the rawless guy.
Yeah.
Because it's the part of me I had adopted through high school. When I joined the bad clique, the bad gang, the bad boys, basically for school. So I met this girl. She was a little younger than me, and I was at the university, and she was in high school. But then her way of life, her sense to life was, wow, so different. And I didn't like her. I didn't like her. But I think, do you believe that God can put you on a path with people that you never really knew or you would never have wished to meet, and yet they really change the trajectory of your life forever?
Yeah.
So this was that kind of girl. I felt like I had seen her before. And then I tell her that, you know what? Oh, I think we have met before. And this is where you stay. And exactly, it is where she had stayed. So we began a relationship. I had never been in any serious relationship before. Most of my relationships could never last for months. Because I could easily get bored. I never knew why. So I could be easily bored by an affair, and before you know it, I'm running without cause. So I met this girl, and then she changed my life. That she one day, when I lost everything, this is when I tell you I got homeless. When I lost everything, like I lost finances, because of how I had been living, the bars, the what, that even one time I was going to strike a major deal, like with a certain organization called Sun Frontiers. I used to be these street smarts. I know how to go about an office, and I discuss with them business. So after I had worked out on my job, I began a printing business. Basically, no office. But I just knew I can really make it. So I go to these guys and I present my proposal. Nobody had ever told me how to write a proposal, but internet had shared little about. So I tell them, we can help you brand in this way. So this guy, Frank, I think he was the procurement. He was a Muzungu. So he tells me, oh, okay, share with me what you guys can do, the brochures. I send through. So it's later that he realizes that all this was a scam. And yet I had invested the last penny of what I had saved to my work. And then
Try
it
and
didn't.
pitch for that deal.
Yes, and it didn't really work out. So after that moment, life began now to, I got in so much debt. And the cool guys I had along my path began now to fade in the picture. Now that I had to be alone, when you lose money, you're going to lose a lot of things. I really lost the friends, but this girl stayed. Now she had exited from high school. We had met when she was in Form 6. Now she was joining campus. And I was out of campus. So she now began to see all my mistakes. Like, all along you have been even having affairs behind my back. See, I don't know why the devil really, when it wants to shame you, it is at the time when you need certain people. And she was the only anchorage I could have in the moment. But guess what?
Was taken out.
She was taken away. Wow. She was taken away, and I just felt like, wow, what is life going to be to me? And so when she went, we didn't fight. She just told me it was an affair that would never work out because me and her were related, distant relatives. We didn't know about this at the start of the affair, but in Buganda there is something called totems.
Yes.
So you can't marry people that
the same
are
totem
from any close mother, father, those things. So her mom and her mom shares the same totem with me. So we were of the same clan. So we had talked about this, but then she told me, we can just, being young people, she was Christian, but me, I wasn't, being young people. And she told me, you know what, I can just get pregnant, and what do parents have to say about it? I would just say, okay, you know what, guys, get married. And but then when she learned about me having all these affairs, and by then I had learned to love her. I had loved her to a point where I just felt she was the one I would really, and we had laid plans that by 2018 we are going to get married. But then it didn't work out that way. So she had learned of the affairs, and she said, you know what, Lucas, I think let's just call it off, because all this while you had lied to me, I lied to her. The worst thing that really hurt her, through school she would not celebrate my birthday. So now she's out of school. So she celebrated my birthday on the day I lied to her. Like I told you, I didn't like her in the start, but it was the way I would live through just being in any affair without any way, direction of which it's going to lead. I was just I should say a kid trying to have fun. So I lied to her about what my birthday is. So I told her, when I asked her, what's your birthday? She told me, oh God, now she might know when she gets to this podcast. So, oh God. And so, anyway, she told me on the 13th of September. I'm like, wow, that can be really a good thing. I told her, you know what? Because my birthday happens on March 9. So I told her, oh, you know what? My birthday happens on September 9th, just a few days before yours. So she celebrated me on the day she thought it was my birthday. Because me, I would not really... my friends, she never really knew many of my friends. She only knew one guy we used to party with and stay with, called Paul. And that's the only person she know. And she couldn't really ask much because he was a bit older than us. So she celebrates me on this day. She brings gifts, and then I'm in a shock. I'm like, wow, what's happening?
Even you had forgotten about the lie.
Yes. You see, that's the problem with getting to lie.
Even you had forgotten about your own lie.
I had completely forgotten about the lie. I'm like, what is it? She's like, it's your birthday. I'm like, oh God, who said it's my birthday? But you told me it's your birthday. I'm like, okay, now. She cried. That moment really changed me. It really, now I began to feel like this girl had been serious with me, but I wasn't at that point. So she broke up with me. It took 1 month, I think, for her to resolve, and she's like, you know what, Lukas, I'm done with you. She told me, I'm not going to meet you again because we were young, and young people meet always, I think, every week. Puppy love, kinda. So she told me, I'm not going to meet you again, and sadly, we met, but this time round it was all tears. She told me, you know what, it hurts me that we are not going to meet again, but I think we should learn to live without each other. It was at a time when she had to enroll for school. She had got a placement in the university, and it broke my heart, but I learned to live with it. So I began to write. I wrote this book, which can never be published.
It's your personal. You're the only one wants to read.
Thank God the laptop crashed. I thank God the laptop crashed. So I wrote this code called Beware, like be against. I was trying to tell people about my pains, about how certain decisions can really lead you to lose good people, to lose the things that would really matter in your life, would make you lose track of who your identity, of who God has purposed and predestined for your life. This girl had taken me to church. God, I really thank God for her. Because I think God meant that when I met her, my life could really change for good. I know she can never really appreciate, the way I had had her, she never wanted anything to do with me again. But I can say part of me, of who I am today, she played a part. So it's from then she had taken me. She had always prayed for me, and she had taken me to church. And then because of who I had been, this is when I begin to appreciate my mother's prayers. My mother had been praying for me because when I lost my job and my money because of the decisions I had taken up, she had been praying that I would not go insane. Being a young person. Let me tell you, the worst thing that can happen to a young person is let them be exposed to money and then they lose it. They're going to go crazy. They would want to do everything to get back to that position because they have been parting with the money. Money becomes their identity. I used to tell some friends that when I would fall sick, when I don't have a certain amount of money within my pockets, to say if the amount I would be having is like less than 20K, I would fall completely sick. So when when I lost everything, it just became a different story for me. That my mom feared that I might go crazy. And me trying to get back on foot, I decided to be an events planner. See how ideas would roll through my mind.
You did your street smart.
Yeah, I wanted to be an events planner, so I organized because of how I felt. I organized my first event. It was called the Young, Wild and Free. See, because I was going through the emotions of pain, depression, frustrations, and I said all that the way I could really communicate this is getting other people into the same position, which is pain. See, not everybody that invites you to their space is because they're having fun with you. No, sometimes they would really want you to come and bear the pain with you. That if they see you suffer, they also feel cool. Oh yeah, if he's really ruining their life with a puff, you're smoking, and you're really getting in. They invite you in that space. They want you to smoke as well. It's basically because they're hurting on the inside, and the only way they can feel better, this is not bad for me, is to influence another. And it's the same when we come to this kind of life. When you feel grateful, you would want to influence another with gratitude. So that's how it was. I had planned this event that all the people, the rawless, the people that wanted to feel independent, those that wanted to feel like I don't mind, I want to be free of my parents, that I wanted to have a personal, I want to make my own rules to life. That they would be coming to that event. So I go and book a place. By then it was called the Bay. Right now it's called Jahaz Pier. I was the first person that thought that place could host an event and it would really be a mark, like it would pay. So I go to this place. By then the manager was called Margarita. She was a Muzungu, and I told her, you know what, this is the concept I have. I want young people to come here, have fun, and I see it's, that place is the other side is the bay, but it has a bush around it. And you guess what can happen to young people when they're exposed to, and they just know it's going to have you drunk, drugs, and then video games. So basically that was it for me. But then my mom had been praying for me, and then she tells me, she comes back one day when I went to see her, and she tells me that, you know what, you are planning an event. I'm like, planning an event? Yes, you're planning an event, but may God lead you. I got a little freaky, and I'm like, Mom, have you begun spying on me? Within my heart, I'm like, now my mom is worried that since I have gone broke and since I had lost everything, because I had even dropped out of school. On my final year at school, I dropped out.
Wow.
Yeah, I dropped out because I felt like I better pursue business.
And spending time looking at the blackboard.
On the final semester, can you imagine? Wow. It's one of the reasons that my dad had hated me, because he didn't really know why I would make such a foolish decision. So I went, booked the venue, and then my mom got to know about it. I don't know how. This is how I get to learn that she had really learned. She tells me that there is somebody, we were praying, and then this woman of God said, you are organizing an event. I'm like, how can you say God is really interested in my business? Where was he when life was going towards the way that one thing that hurt me most was, why did you let everybody leave me? Why did you let me waste my life the way I wasted it? If I really mattered to you, why do you? I'm like, then maybe I should go to this church and get to really
see this woman of God who said I have an event.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little did I know that I'm going to become hooked. So I go and I get to really have a different experience. When I got into the different experience with her, wow, I'm like, okay, so she can know because God reveals to her. I'm like, okay, now let me change, because I don't know, my transitions were it felt like God was saying that you need to do things fast. Because let me tell you, this event was only a few months towards it, but I just found myself plugged out. And I told my friend Paul, you know what, I think we need to go to church over hosting the event.
Because to kind of about the event.
Yeah, me and Paul were jobless people, but having our money. Oh God, Paul, you should not listen to this. Because if he gets to watch this, it would be a different story. I should have used a different name. Anyways, me and Paul were jobless. Yeah. Me, I had just walked out on my job. And then Paul, I don't know his story, basically. Yeah, because he was a kid that had been raised with, we were all Buziga kids. So his parents would really finance everything. And they gave him the luxury of even staying. We used to rent this home. He used to pay. Now that I never had money on me, he used to pay. And we would stay in the place comfortably, have a meal. I learned to cook. I now had to learn to cook with him. So I told him, you know what, as we are planning this event for the little money we've been having, we should go and pray about it. But he didn't really take on the course. Me, I went, and then I was hooked in church. So my prayer, after a few months of journeying, that is in 2015, about September, if I remember well, September, I prayed this to God, that God, give me an opportunity that I might be able to share all that I have learned with somebody else, that they might not make the same mistakes that I have made.
Yeah.
And little did I know that this prayer was hard before God, because I said it just me, you know. And I told the woman of God, I told her, you know, in all things, this is what I want, and I ask of God that He would allow me to share with somebody else of the things I have learned through life. And that's when I began writing, professional writing. That I would write things that I felt inspired and led to write, because one thing I have understood is that, you know, when you have a heartbreak, when you have a bad emotion, it's going to do two things to you. It's either going to make you, or it's going to break you. Like, it's going to make you think in a different way. Like how earlier I said that frustrations really get us creative, or man, they just shut you down, and you're like, man, this is not. I am not able to think any other way. So basically, that was it. I now began to write the Beware story. I said that if I don't really help somebody be able, but I wrote it from a position of pain, not a position of healing. You know, that I said, even if I die tomorrow, this would be, I wouldn't mind who reads this.
Yeah.
So I wrote Beware, and I'm like, man, whoever, it was like to whom it may concern, you know, because I wrote all the bad things I did, that, you know, people might look at you and they think you are a good person, but yet in real sense, you are not a good person, because I hurt a lot of people, that even I hurt my family with the decisions I had made. So I was trying to speak to somebody. I said that if somebody who is within the same age range, to say, because I remembered the bad decisions of my life and choices began at about the age of 16. So I'm like, if somebody would really get to be exposed to this information of the lessons I had learned, they would really walk life through a different lens and do life better, make better decisions for life. Because I wouldn't imagine that, you know what, I would see you on the streets to say, when I got to a position of homeless, I would come from the club, and I didn't know where else to turn. So the only thing would be sleep here on the street until it gets day. Because in the club, before you know it, they're like, man, go. You know, go out.
Clean up, yeah?
We need to clean up. So it was from such, I said, beware. You might think life is good, but life is dangerous if you don't take caution. So that was when I wrote Beware. And then the Spirit of God has really written the story of my life now. That I say, so when I refocused, and I'm like, because for the Beware story, I would say, whenever I could read it, I'm like, no way I
can publish this.
Yes, because now my life had transitioned in the 2 years. That now I'm even serving in church, and everybody knows me as the good guy. Now the goodness in me was the only reflection. Privately and publicly, people could identify with me by that goodness. So I said, if they read the Beware story, everybody's going to hate me now. And I was afraid now that I'm in Christ that I would be rejected. I couldn't really afford that. Thank God. Beware never really saw the light of the day. The computer crashed. And so 2017, I'm a good guy. I'm a Christian. I love God. I really live my life for Christ. And I'm a banker. So one time we had been entrusted with a large sum of money, about 200 millions. And I was basically put in charge
of the money.
And then this young man, I had treated him like a brother. It was weeks of different events, you know, that really happened. He would take money here and there, but I'd let it be. I just felt like, anyway. So, one day, it was on a fateful Saturday, and I had a date. On that Saturday, I didn't really mind much because I trusted these guys. And I didn't mind much about what would happen. I said, you can for the money. This guy swept the whole 200 million from the vault. I tell you, when Monday came, this guy didn't appear at work. This guy's phones were off. I felt like maybe he got an accident. It really puzzled me in the start, but then I asked my other colleague with whom they had stayed. He said, we left here easy. And I'm like, maybe something happened because for him, he wasn't Christian. Me and the other guy were Christian. So I felt like maybe something happened. Maybe he drank too much. And then now it clicked. Like, you know how you get a flash? Like,
something is wrong.
What if?
Yeah.
The what if, you know?
Yeah.
The what if. But then clients had walked through the tills, and all you would mind is let them have the money and then go. So later, we were able to access the vault. And this is when we learned that the money had gone missing. I tell you, it really shut a part of me with questions now. God, you know,
I've been serving you.
Before you know, the before was, God, where was you? I was living reckless, but I'm now asking God, where was you? But now I'm asking God, I've been serving you. Yeah, I've been a good guy.
Why this now?
Even before, when I was all this bad, I never really went to jail for anything. People would wish me bad, but nothing bad happened to me. So now, why now? So we went to the police station to make a statement. And then me and my other friend, I won't mention the name because, sorry, you know, some people, those I've mentioned the names, please, when you get to hear this, when you get to see this, please forgive me. I pray nobody knows you in my life. But so for this guy, we went to make a statement, and then the police said, you can't go back. We have to reserve you until we get the money, because the money belongs to the people. And you cannot just say the money went missing. Oh. So the directors also came. And they're like, what is it? What are we? Like, these guys can't go until the money is produced, because the first suspects. This is when I realized that, you know what? You can be a good person, but being in the wrong place or with the wrong company can really cost you.
So you get into jail.
So I got into jail for the first and last time.
Yeah.
This is me declaring.
Yeah.
You know, I got into jail. That it was in the mid of the night. I went into jail with a Bible, but with so many questions at heart. I'm like, God, how have I come here? What would really lead me to this point? Where have I gone wrong that I would come to such an experience? I was diligent in all serving God, like all living my life. I cannot say, maybe God knows better, but I cannot say a day when I try to be unfaithful. When I try to live by the past I had come from. Many things I had promised God when I became Christian, and I have tried as much to live by those values and standards in my life and for my life. Because I realized that now the life I had lived wasn't just about me, but everybody that comes to surround me.
Yeah.
So when I went to jail, first day, the experience. Oh God. My other colleague was handled to the worst. Like, they got him, these other inmates. They got him, and then they would turn him. They wanted money. You know, when we are there at the police, these guys told us, give us your money so that we can keep
for you, and they were like, nah.
Yes. So this guy be like, nah, I can keep my money. So he goes inside, and these guys, they get him,
Turn him upside down.
turn him upside down. Thank God me, I was allowed to carry a Bible with me to the set. And then I got in there with my Bible and sat in a different, like at the entrance, saying that I cannot go any further than here, with an expectation that I need to be out of here in the morning. So these guys didn't do anything to me. They only called me Pastor Chichi Wakoze. You know, that is the thing that they asked me. But then they held my friend in a funny way and
Didn't you
got
tell
him.
them that that's my friend? Please don't hurt him.
It was hard now. It was hard now. With all the thoughts that were going through my mind, it was basically hard.
Yeah.
You would not really think of any other thing. And sometimes you would feel like maybe it's those guys that really, what if they connived and and took the money? And I'm here. So you would not trust in that. Let me tell you, when you're in such situations, such points, it's hard. You have trust issues.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind him. And so I told him, you know what, we will be out of here. So I opened the Bible. But if I tell you what I read, I don't remember what I read, but all it was about the book of Proverbs. I don't know. I cannot tell you what I read, but it was in the books of Proverbs that I opened, checked, and before I knew it, it went morning, and we were not leaving jail for. Now that is the first morning. So we spent the day still. And I'm like, God, now it's another day. But my fear was being transferred from here
To the main prison.
So when we went into the next day, I began now to pray. Now I got out of that position of, God, why here? Why? I'm like, maybe God has put us here for a reason.
Yeah.
What's your reason, Lord? So my heart yielded to, what is your reason, Lord? So I went into the, what is your reason, Lord? What is your reason, Lord? And then one night, I had this clearly. I had God before speak, but with some, you can hear God, but still with anticipation.
Yeah.
Is it you, God? But then you just trust, and then it's worked out. It was God. But then this time, out of frustration, I just took God by his word. He said to me clearly, forgive him. Forgive him. He said it 3 times. And let me tell you, my heart came to peace. That when we woke up in the morning, life in jail is really hard. Let me tell you. That's why when I see somebody mess their life and they don't know that out of that decision they could be headed for jail, they don't know what they're really asking for. Because life is really hard that the washrooms were just too close to where you guys sleep. Sanitation was the worst thing. So I just would want to leave. So when God told me this, that, forgive him and let go, I just woke up the next day and I told my other colleague that, God has said, let's forgive this guy and let go. And I told him that, maybe God has better plans. So it is when now my family begins to look for me. It is when now that directors of the bank begin now to want to know, how can we get these guys out? It is when my lawyer, okay, now I made a call to my lawyer, and I'm like, because before I was like, this is easy coming to do a statement. I don't need to come with her. I don't really need to bother her with this. It's just going to end there. This is when now I'm like, man, you need a lawyer so that you're out of this, whatever it is. So I call her and I'm like, you know what? Cancel. I just need you to come and bail me out here. Because it's been now 2 nights.
Wow.
And I am in this place. She's like, what did you... How? Have you made a statement? I'm like, yes, we came to make a statement, but then they retained us. Like, God, now it's hard. Because when you make a statement, they have a case.
Yeah.
So she tells me, but what you can do is, let me see how we are going to work it out. So now my parents come looking for me. My mom got so torn apart by the event. Remember, she had prayed for me to come out of the other life.
And now you've gone back to this one.
And now she's wondering within her mind, what kind of trouble did you get yourself into now that it would put you into jail? Dads are always strong. It's my dad that I called. You know that one last call that
that one last
usually we see certain things in movies until you come to the experience. Would you want to make a call?
That one last call.
That one last call before you go in. So I called my dad and I'm like, you know what? Hey, I'm going. Something happened at work, and these guys are going to retain us for the night and release us in the morning. So there's nothing to worry about. I'll come and see you guys soon. So now it's on the second day. Now they realize,
I'm still here.
Yeah. So now my mom is all panicking that I have to be out and thing. So now the third night after, remember on the second night, it's when God tells me, and then now we begin the journey of speaking even to other inmates that, you know what, you need to forgive. You need to forgive. Somebody has done you wrong, but please let go. And then we became counsel to these other guys. Can you imagine? You're in this trouble. You so feel like you don't deserve to be here, but now you walk into a place of, wow, I think everybody here does not deserve to be here. Oh, it is not by their making that they are here. Maybe somebody else. There could be some other reason why they're here. So we began to preach about healing of the heart. Please, you need to forgive. Maybe you're angry with somebody, and being angry with some other person could have led you make the decisions that you made, and see where it has led you. So this guy, one guy told me, yes, man, when you say it, I really now see, I really begin now to imagine what it was like, because I hurt somebody because I was feeling bad. So we fought, and I didn't mean to hurt them. So when we got to that, God was like, I think you guys have learned the lesson. Now my lawyer calls again. They get with my parents, and they're like, oh, you know what? we need to get him out. So she sent some money. My parents had some money. And then these guys are like, we are going to release, police bond is free, but that's not what it is. So they sent some money and they let us go for the first time. After 3 days, we got out at about 3 p.m. I tell you, like how Dr. Martin Luther King says that free at last, free indeed. It's such a feeling that you get when you're out of that place that you would want to say, you know what? What time do I get home? I just felt like I would never really want to be back into this place. I just need to go home. By then, if you ask me what's next, I wouldn't tell you anything. I just felt like nothing really was next. All I needed was just to be at peace for the moment. So I went home, and then for a couple of days is when I realized that maybe I needed to write now, because this time round it was a different position. It wasn't from a position of pain, but from a position of wanting now to say, you know what, decisions are going to cost you. And from a position of somebody, if something happens twice, it's not going to really it's now not going to be like it's a coincidence. Maybe it is a story of your life that you really need to rewrite. So I began to write, but I didn't know from what direction now I should write. But all things came into play over time that I would see, okay, now let me begin from how it all began. Then from there, well, how it all began, what decisions did I come to, and what really made me better? What does it take to come from wherever it is to the next level? And then I wanted to share my story and say, I think it's the only way now I am able to really release the me out of that. Even if, because before in the beware, it was the fear of being judged by the people that would come into my story. But now it wasn't no longer about the people that would judge me, that they got to a share of my story. Now it was basically about who would be changed by my story. So I said, okay, it's very much okay if they get to really get into this book and they read about my story, about how I struggled, and if only they could be able to relate with the recovery, that would be to the best moment.
Into Lucas, getting to a particular piece that you wrote, which I want Laban to take us through about persistence. I mean, because it's an incredible story. But there is a particular piece, persistent pays off, right? Yes, Laban.
I've listened to Lukas telling his story, and before we even go deeper to this book, actually, you guys, this is a book that you really want to purchase. This is a copy that you really want to. I have read it, and I think I'm doing it for the second time now. This is part of your story, and
a part of my story,
a part of your story. And you started by saying how you were crowned a failure at 22. And I kept asking, now relating to the story, to the depth of the story. Now I have heard it one-on-one. And I was asking myself, you're from this level, and all of a sudden you hit the ground. where you come now to you and yourself. You call yourself a meeting.
Yeah. Yes.
You come and say, this is me. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And a lot of young people right now outside there, they are going through this issue or these challenges.
Yeah.
And my question would be, how were you able to turn the pain into pressure?
Okay.
How are you able to look at this pain and say, I'm not gonna be a victim of this,
Yes.
but I'm gonna use the pain to realize myself, or to enter into the version of who God created me to be. Which is it's a very sensitive situation, whereby you have to look the part of your ailing part and see it as your stepping stone towards your glory. How are you able to mitigate or navigate around that?
Thank you. Something I have come to appreciate in life is it's only until we are vulnerable, not vulnerable in a way of self-pity, but vulnerable in a way of, I appreciate my mistake. I know I made a mistake, but I'm willing to outgrow. So when I was crowned a failure, I realized that it takes you saying that, I am not ashamed of my past. But it could have meaning, it could find meaning, and it could see better life if I draw lessons out of my past, that I might walk into life as a different person, as a better person, as somebody who is able to really challenge life or do life differently and cause other people see life different. So even at when I had been crowned failure at 22, I tell you, when my life now, because it is at 25 that this lesson is now, it becomes clear to me. Not at 22, like I told you, failed at 22, but then it takes 3 years of transformation, of transitions,
Yes.
So I realized that I'm willing to really find purpose in my pain, as opposed to seek solace, or find something to hide me from my pain, but rather find purpose in my pain. That purpose would only be to elevate somebody else to a different level than life.
Wow. And talking about that, somebody told me one day that a great story is told out of experience. So it's out of experience that we are getting to enjoy this. And you talked about character. And in page 2 of your book, you says that the character of great leadership is forged in the willingness to be crushed for a reason, not a season.
That's very true. I think we all get into seasons where we are crushed. Whether you're a good person, whether you're evil. Sometimes people think that bad things will happen to you because you're bad. But let me tell you, like how I've shared with you, it is now me getting into a jail, and I'm all good, I'm all clean. I said, gosh, man. So it was a season of my life, but it's only character that helps you appreciate that, what, this is happening for a reason. And I'm not going to look at the season by which I am going through. Maybe it can be a season of heartbreak. And you don't look at the heartbreak, but rather look at the reason why there is a heartbreak. It could be the decisions you have made the people you have surrounded yourself with. Maybe, I don't know, some of the people that are listening in or are watching in might be people with families.
Yes.
Sometimes you having difficult or conflicts within family, it could have been the conflict is a season in your life. But there is a reason behind that season. So until you get to appreciate what the reason is, you cannot yield or you cannot lead how the results can be through the season. Because you're always going to find somebody to blame. Maybe it's about the other party, but not me. You know, rather than how can I really work it for good? How can this thing work for good for me? So basically, don't look at the season. Look at the reason why this is really happening to me. And it's something that I really found within the times that, I trusted people so much, that I would let them have it that way, as opposed to what am I really, who am I trusting and why am I trusting them?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing so much. Laban, always our time gets much spent.
Yeah.
But I think for this podcast, we must have part two of this particular podcast because, just like Laban said, some of the things we learned or we learn through experience. And sometimes it's not us.
Yes.
It's what happens to other people that I get to learn and be like, oh, I need to be steady. Otherwise,
that's very true.
If I'm not steady with my lines or with my way of living, I may end up even in a deeper way or in a deeper pit than Lukas. But as we end this Lukas, for this particular podcast, because we don't want to keep our people waiting, but we want them to come back and enjoy it more and more. And of course, we promise you we're coming back with Lukas for part 2. But Lukas, you being a Christian and being a writer, I know we may expound about this in our second part or in our second episode. But you being a writer and a Christian, there are particular things as Christians we don't take. I'm trying to find the right word so that I don't
reading friendly. Yes.
So
say
what
it out
inspired
loud.
you, and do you picture people getting that urge to read? Because us knowing that if you went outside there or even just ask our producer how many books he reads in a month, he'll surprise you. So you have us having that background. What pushed you to be like, okay, you know what? This is something I need to invest in.
Purpose keeps on calling. You cannot run away from your purpose. And usually, when we do things for a purpose, you don't look at profit. You look at impact. So, when God told me, I had written that book but not published it. So God in 2019 he tells me begin to get published. But I imagined who is going to read, because that's one thing that most people would ask you. But who is going to read the book? Do you have 100 people already there to read the book? The 100 first copies? I'm like, anyways, But then I was sold into the idea, because I believe this wasn't just about me. It was about who God has called me to be. And all He has called me to be is to write that somebody else might live differently.
Wow.
Yeah.
When purpose keeps calling. Yes,
Purpose-driven.
Your last words as we end this podcast.
Mine is to say, I'll finish. There's one on page 7. He says, until you hear.
Sorry.
On page 7, he says, until you heal the mind, you cannot mend the heart.
Wow.
Until you heal the mind, you cannot mend the heart.
Amazing.
It takes forgiveness.
Yeah.
Let it go. And see you next time for the next episode.
All right, guys, we want to say, man, thank you so much for chilling with us. Now, we're having Mr. Lukas come back. We don't usually do this, but just like you say, when Papa keeps calling. So we want to assure you in the next episode, please subscribe, hit that notification button, because we are going to go deeper into persistent pays off. And those of you who have not yet gotten your copy, you can go into the comment section. We'll let you know how you can get yourself this piece. The next time when we're having a conversation about it, you are in the know. Otherwise, from us to you, it's been an amazing time chilling with you, learning with you, getting deeper with you. See you in our next episode.
Actually,
Yeah.
Ian, before you go,
The
the first person to ask for a copy, I'll give my copy free of charge.
So if you want to get it from Laban, you've had it yourself, guys. Please be the first person to say you want the copy, and you'll have it gotten to you from Laban. Otherwise, guys, see you in our next episode. God bless you.